I'm Rich from ESR Distribution, just talking to you about Weatherby ammunition. This is 257 Weatherby, factory ammunition from Weatherby. It's a very striking case in that you've got this very famous Weatherby rounded shoulder. This was to deal with pressures at the time. Obviously any sharp seam is a weak point. These are super hot as a cartridge. This is pushing a 100 grain projectile at 3,700 feet per second, depending on bullet weight. It's a belted Magnum. What this belt is, that casts us back to the days when this was to regulate headspace effectively. You see this on 7mm Rem mags as well. Is it necessary? Well, maybe not, but it looks great. This is loaded with a Barnes TTSX 100 grain, so it's deer legal. It's super flat, 1.5 inch 0 at 100 yards means 0 inch drop at 300 yards. And at 300 yards, it's carrying the energy of a 243 at the muzzle, so 1,860 foot-pounds at 300 yards, so it's a hell of a thing. Weatherby don't just do Weatherby ammo, they do things like 7mm PRC, 6.5 PRC, 300 PRC, 28 Nosler, 280 Ackley improved, all the slightly unusual stuff that was very much designed for hunting. You're talking about super flat trajectories, great downrange energy at hunting distances. Its recoil point probably somewhere between 270 and a 3006, so not a light cartridge to shoot, but not ridiculous either. They do punchier cartridges, 270 Weatherby, 300 Weatherby Magnum. There's lots of great stuff out there. Ron Spomer does a great film talking through all the Weatherby cartridges and how they compare against the things they were designed to beat. So Roy Weatherby, when he was designing all these cartridges, would go back and say, someone's gone out to 270, I want to make it faster and hitting harder, and that's what he'd do. He'd find something and make it a bit better. So this is, I suppose, equivalent to a 2506 on steroids. It's an absolute beast of a cartridge. There's quite a few people using this in the UK, which surprised me actually when I first got this in to find out what the hunger was for this. A lot of people are using this in the UK because it's just a do-it-all cartridge. It's arguably reloaded cartridge because it hasn't been the factory ammunition option before. The factory ammunition isn't cheap because it's a Magnum cartridge, of course. Certainly to go and have a day practice at 20-40 rounds isn't price prohibitive compared to anything else, you know, talking about a couple of quid extra. Really a box, it's, I don't know, between £3 and £5 a bang, which isn't cheap, but it's certainly in line with everything else you're going to shoot, especially if you're shooting from a hunting perspective. So this was one of Roy Weatherby's first cartridges, designed back in I think the 50s. Might be slightly wrong on that, but it's definitely late 40s, early 50s for 257. He did loads of cartridge development. He was having rifles built by FN, Seiko, all sorts of people, Japan, all over the world, until he started making his own rifles. He made his own rifles that deal with the pressures of the cartridges he was building. He advertised Weatherby Mark V as the strongest action commercially available on the market. Which it probably is still up there. I mean, it's a beast. The 257 Weatherby he took to Africa, he shot enormous animals with this thing just to prove that his motto was speed kills. Energy kills, right? So it's one of those things where we look at and kind of go, yeah, 100 grain bullet going at 3,500 feet per second plus is obviously going to do what we need it to do. It's that terminal velocity. Whether or not you believe in hydrostatic shot, it is a thing. And that's what all his cartridges are based on. Ultra fast, ultra flat, with amazing terminal performance, and it's an old cartridge. It's one of those things that people said, it's like, but like all the greats, like your 308, like your 243, these are not young cartridges. These are things that people strive for, this super efficient, super flat, hard-hitting cartridge. Roy Weatherby did it back in the 50s. You know, this is it. People talk about, I want something super flat. You're aiming dead on at 300 yards. At 400 yards, you're still, your MBPR, you're still shooting flat at 400 yards. This is the hunting cartridge that everyone is striving towards, but because it's old, because people didn't necessarily have the access to it, they kind of discounted it. They're chasing things like 6.5 Greeble, great cartridge, sure. Low recoiling, this isn't necessarily low recoiling, but in terms of energy and performance, it's absolutely amazing. This sits in the kind of 257, like a 26 cal effectively, which we all know. We looked at 260 at 6.5 cartridges. This is slightly better. It's in line with the 25 caliber ballistics, but it's so hard hitting. There's so much powder behind that. You do need a longer barrel like all Magnums, but as a hunting platform, it's superb.